This live stream proudly brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council.
This is my backyard. Gladstone all the way to Lady Musgrave Island. This is
to wonder why. Where do you wanna go? While we're still got time. And while I've waited, won't you wait with me? And while I'm waiting, won't you set me free?
On behalf of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, the hosting authority of the 73rd Gladstone Ports Corporation, Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race being streamed live to the world through Facebook, through the official B2G website, brisbanetogladstone.com, on the jumbo screen at East Shores in Gladstone. Hello to everybody watching there. Also through a host of News Corp Australia digital news sites. Opening up this broadcast to over 300,000 paying subscribers from the Cairns Post in the north to the Daily Telegraph website in Sydney, to the Courier Mail and everything in between. Welcome to a blustery Moreton Bay in the beautiful sunshine state of Queensland. I'm Grant Cooper, and joining me in commentary this morning are two incredibly well-known yachting personalities. Firstly, 3 times Australian champion yachtsman, sports commentator, MC, writer, sailing instructor and coach, as well as a well-known host of Bar Karate, the sailing podcast, with a couple of other sailing reprobates. Welcome to Jordan Spencer. Welcome, Jordan.
G'day, mate. Can't be more excited.
It's looking like it's going to be a fantastic day. On the other commentator on the other side here is definitely not Nick Douglas. Okay, we'll just say that out loud. But we're all primed to have our regular little blonde bombshell Easter Energizer bunny, sailor girl Nick Douglas behind the mic. But unfortunately, with the recent COVID lockdowns here in Queensland and the possibility of having to isolate for 14 days when she returned home, it was too big a risk to ask a busy social yachting journalist. So, coming off the bench today, a man who was supposed to be competing this Easter in his own very own single-handed fin dinghy, but dropped everything to help out an old mate. Veteran of many ocean races and countless Brisbane to Gladstone yacht races. Welcome back, David Turton.
Thanks, Grant. Thanks, Jordan. Delighted to be here. Looks like a spectacular race. Very excited that we can get a yacht race away in this environment.
Absolutely. Well, it almost didn't happen again this year. Can you believe it? Last time, as the global pandemic really started to take hold of the world, the race committee of the 72nd Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race cancelled the race at the very last minute for the very first time, for obvious reasons. And then just 5 days ago, out of nowhere, Greater Brisbane area was plunged into a mandatory 3-day lockdown for a handful of community transmitted COVID cases, with an even scare in the harbour city of Gladstone itself, which up until now had never recorded a case. Geordie, the lockdown was lifted yesterday, Thursday afternoon. While this is great that we have a race, it's had a small impact on fleet numbers.
Yeah, of course. So a lot of boats sort of, some of the lead-up races were cancelled as well because we had that big rain system that came over Australia and cancelled out a few of the lead-up races. And then the COVID, some of the boats couldn't get crews into and onto the boats. Some of the boats couldn't get here. So we've had definitely a drain on the fleet numbers. Still a fairly quality fleet. I'm very excited about this race because we'll come to it later on, but we've still got a great fleet, but COVID has impacted the numbers.
Sure, I think it's certainly opened up the IRC division, which is the Courier Mail Cup. We'll talk about that. Well, the record, Blackjack, Peter 100, Peter Harburg and Mark Bradford only took 16 hours, 53 minutes, 57 seconds, and an average speed of 18.23 knots. David Turton, can she beat our time?
I reckon she will. And I reckon she's got the potential to give it a really good nudge, but I'm going to take the conservative viewpoint.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
And I'm going to call them in for a 4:30 finish tomorrow morning.
Great.
Which is just in front.
Great. That means I've got an early start tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Thanks very much for that. Okay, and as you see there, on board, Blackjack, a decent crew. She's a big boat. She's 100 foot long, and, it's good to see her back in Queensland waters, isn't it?
Absolutely fabulous. Immaculately prepared and looked after boat. There is not many things that don't get put on that yacht that'll make it go faster. It sets a real example of what you can do with a racing program from anywhere in the world. She's a spectacular boat. I'm hoping for some great vision off the start line today. Should be magic.
Yep, this is the third time she's actually contested the race, or Peter Harburg has contested this race, as in this incarnation of the Blackjack brand. Look, we're looking forward to that. We'll talk more about her, and we'll see more about her during the course of the live stream today. Listen, while we're talking about Blackjack, you can actually skipper your own Blackjack, and we're talking about the virtual Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and it's about sailingonline.org. So if you want to jump on sailingonline.org, you can actually join the race. Have a quick play around with it. I would do that in the next hour because it is a little tricky. Footnote, gentlemen, last year while it was cancelled, number one here took control of Blackjack and was doing quite well up until about 10 o'clock at night when I decided to go to sleep and ended up a little bit far off Fraser Island. Took a bit to get back, actually.
That happens to Squawk as well.
You can go online, register yourself and sail your own Blackjack to Gladstone. And we thank the sailingonline.org team again for putting this forward. It actually uses real-time weather conditions and it's a fantastic bit of fun. So I ended up finishing 8th. I wasn't really that impressed with that. While we're talking about tracking and doing all that sort of stuff, let's talk about the YB Rates Yacht Tracker. Now, this is available at the brisbanetogladstone.com website. If you go up to the top and have a look at the race tab, drop that down, you can actually map and see the yachts themselves as they head up the coast. This is an amazing tool. You guys have seen this and obviously used this before.
Oh, I used to use it when I was sitting in the navigator's chair just to have a look what was going on around me, blow out the data bill, especially when we're out of cell phone range. Pretty important tactical information comes out of there. Yep. I can remember a year when we're racing Blackjack up the coast in a live. We were just out of the set. They were just in the set. That's how I knew. Yep. Having a look at the telemetry off this thing. Yeah, fantastic.
The old outside assistance rule certainly has taken a beating over the last few years, hasn't it?
What's that?
The outside assistance rule, taking a beating.
Haven't heard of that one.
Excellent.
Nicely
anyway,
done.
You can also have that on your own personal phone or tablet, and you can go and download that through all the different app stores. So good luck with that, and you can have a look at all those boats as they're entering the start area now, but as they thunder up the coast. So we've better get to a couple of the interviews that we've got today, and let's cross to the very first time today, down to the Marina Dock here at the QCYC. And just in front of the beautiful South Pacific 2 is our very own soon-to-be rolling reporter, but we'll call her our roving reporter. We've got Nat Cooper on the dock.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. I'm here with Gladstone Ports Corporation's Marine Superintendent, David Osman. David, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
At a time where sporting events are really struggling to secure sponsorship, the Gladstone Ports Corporation has come on board as naming rights sponsor until the year 2023, where I believe it's the 75th running of the race. Was that an easy decision to collaborate with the QCYC on this one?
I think it was an easy decision for GPC. Gladstone Ports Corporation and the Marina have been supporting the race for a good few years now, so it's just a logical extension to step in as naming rights sponsor. It gives Gladstone Ports Corporation and the Marina a really good chance to showcase our wonderful facilities and parklands, and the yacht race has got such a wonderful reach, given it's one of Australia's premier ocean yacht races. So Easter is a really big thing in Gladstone, and the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is a huge part of that. So by supporting the race as name and right sponsor, it's not only benefits the race, but it's a real benefit for the community as well.
Absolutely, and you spoke about the marina. I hear you've been very busy. The marina really is a jewel in the crown of the Gladstone foreshore, and you've recently opened up a lounge, I believe. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, we've been working really hard to get a brand new marina lounge open just in time for Easter. So it'll be a real hub for boat owners to come and gather and swap stories about the race or cruising or destinations that they've been to, and it's something that our locals can be really proud of. There's a kitchenette facility there, dining table, study nook, bookshelves with lots of games to play. Some of the furniture's made from recycled sailcloth, so it's got a real nautical twist to it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you're heading back up to Gladstone this evening. For those visiting our region and also those people who live there as well, where's the best vantage points to view the yachts as they come into the beautiful Gladstone Harbour?
We've got quite a lot of foreshore around Gladstone, so anywhere along the foreshore is great. Out towards Spinnaker Park, you get a view straight across to the start line, and anywhere along East Shores will provide a really good vantage point. You're not going to miss the big yachts coming through.
Absolutely not. David, thank you so much to the Gladstone Ports Corporation for being major naming rights sponsor of this event. We'll see you back in Gladstone. Over to you, Grant.
This is my backyard. 1770 to the Boyne Valley. Gladstone all the way to Lady Musgrave Island. This is my home, and I will explore every last place.
Where do you wanna go? Mountain under sky. Where do you wanna go? Well, maybe we could fly. Where do you wanna go? It's time to wonder why. Where do you wanna go? While we've still got time. And while I've waited, don't you wait with me. While I'm waiting, won't you set me free?
You have tuned into the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and obviously today we're live streaming to the world with thanks to the Gladstone Regional Council. Okay, guys, I know you've been poring over quite a few numbers here. Give us a rundown on what boats you think are likely to perform well, because I should say at this point of time, it's not just about the first boat over the line. It's a handicap race for the Courier Mail Cup. That is the jewel in the crown. But we've got a few other handicap divisions here, but let's talk IRC first.
Well, I'm going to go right out there and put a veteran up there as my race favourite as IRC. A classic Gladstone boat, Wistari.
Oh.
I've got her as my absolute favourite for IRC honours this year.
It's amazing call. 51st race that she's done.
Yes, 51. And I was having a chat to the boys down on the dock earlier. Their quickest time in, they reckon, is 6:30 at night. So because we're starting an hour later, 7:30 tomorrow night. They were thinking they'd be a little bit slower. I was telling them I think they're going to be a little bit quicker. And I had a look around, and they're going to be wet, very, very wet. The other team I've got up there for a pick is the Royal Queensland boat of Andrew Wickland's boat, Crankster. They've got some good guys on board. They know how to keep it upright. And most times on the racetrack, that is, they're a good one. And, of course, I could not put a live in there. She's my old perennial favourite.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really going to be a big boat race on IRC. I just don't think they're going to be able to stretch out enough. I've got them getting there in 18 hours, which is a pretty slick trip to Gladstone.
Okay, from IRC, what are you thinking, Geordie?
Well, he's got some Tertz has got some good arguments there. There's some fairly high standard sailors on the Old Wistaria as well. I will point that out. There's a boat that we should look at, not a diamond, the HH42. That thing, I wouldn't want to be on that myself because that will be underwater most of the way. So
that was my number 4.
Yeah.
Here we go. Each way bet.
Yeah.
No,
Each
number
way
4.
bet Turton. Here we go.
Number 4.
I think Black Diamond also comes into play in Mad Jack. Mad Jack might be a little small, might be a little bit old, but some of those boats are designed for these sorts of conditions. They're the ones that we're pulling out. So,
well, if I'm going to have my 10 cents worth, Joanne Brodie is mine. I'm going to one of the 2 Alan Payne designed Tasman Seabirds that are in the race. Now, these are only tiny little boats, in fact, designed in 1959, these boats. So they certainly rack up the points when it comes to IRC and the particular way that is calculated. So that's my bet for this race. So we'll see how we go. We might have to slip a $5 on it, fellas, or maybe a 6-pack of Sailor's Lager. I told you I was going to get in a gratuitous plug. There you go, Geordie. I got it in. Excellent.
Good work.
You are tuned in to the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race live stream, brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. Very soon the boats are going to be milling up in the area. We'll be able to grab some boats and start talking about the particular boats that are entering the fleet this year. We're looking at around about a fleet of 35, 36. She's quite blustery out on Moreton Bay at the moment, and we'll be able to bring that to you as we get closer to the start, which is at midday today. And thanks to Adina Watches, you'll find up in the top corner, there we go, somewhere there, you'll find the countdown, which is counting down towards the start of this historic race back in back sailing the 73rd year this year, which we're very, very grateful for. Let's talk about race records. We understand it is a handicap race, but a couple of years ago, 17 hours was unheard of, to get to Gladstone. Now, you're tipping an even faster time this year.
Yes, I am.
I just cannot fathom the numbers you're talking.
Blackjack's times to date is, of course, their race record of 16:53. The second time they did it, they backed it up with a 16:55. I'm going with a neat 16:10 this year, which is much quicker. I'd have them faster, but I just think that last stretch from Breaksea Spit into Gatcombe Head angle, they're not going to get the angle. If the angle changes, I think they'll rip it up. But I think they're going to be running flat, but there's going to be plenty of pressure.
Okay, now these boats are doing an average, I think it was an average of 18 knots last time. For the uninitiated, let's convert that to kilometres an hour.
Yeah, about 35 kilometres an hour, basically.
Yep.
So you're getting to Gladstone in twice the time it takes you to drive there. So conceptually, for people to understand that boat is going that fast, it's going to sail up and around. So it's not sailing in a straight line like you're driving your car. And it's going to do it in twice the time it takes you to drive up there.
Or about the same times it takes to drive from Brisbane to Buderim. Is that
at this time of year?
That's a fair call?
At midnight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to call out to it here. I actually think Blackjacks may get a 14.
14
14 in the number.
That is smoking.
Yeah.
That is ripping.
And that's talking like 2:30 in the morning into Gladstone.
Yeah, I'd say they'd be good for that, except Squark tends to go to bed at about 10 at night. And they'll either go faster or slower.
Squark is Mark Bradford, who is the skipper of Blackjack.
Yes.
Phenomenal bunch of sailors on that boat. Obviously, very high standard of sailors. So that boat will be cooking along. They did have to swap out 2 sailors because of the COVID, but they took from Barry Cunio's boat, Envy Scooters.
Envy Scooters, correct, yeah, TP52.
Took a couple of sailors across from there. So they're still well stocked. I think they're going to be fairly conservative, so maybe Tertz might be right from the conversation because they won't be pushed, but they're going to be able to focus on themselves.
The thing I do like about their chances of ripping it up is the sea state. It's going to be pretty flat because there's a nice northerly current going up the coast. It's not wind against tide, it's tide with wind. And what can really slow you down in those big boats is an adverse seaway where you're just ploughing into wave after wave after wave because you've got to step it back and not load it up so much. Flat water, put the foot down.
Yeah. That's the risk to our forecast, is that it's the most perfect forecast, but it may be too much wind and they may have to back off slightly. That's the only thing that threatens the...
Yeah, it threatens the race record for sure.
Yeah.
It's just certainly going to be amazing. And, of course, at the Gladstone end of the course, they have the Gladstone Ports Corporation have set up the big pontoons out there on O'Connell Wharf, and that's where you can spy these beautiful boats when they come in. I know for the past few weeks they've been out doing a little bit of scraping at the bottom to make sure that there's enough water under these boats. How much do some of these boats draw?
6.5 metres.
6.5 metres of water underneath the hull.
Yeah, on Blackjack, yeah, she's 6.5. A couple of the other hundreds that I piloted around the place was 6.8. You tend to have to watch where you point the thing and where you're going. You can run out of water pretty quickly. It's a long way to swim down to try and push it off.
Yeah, sure. Look, in a very short period of time, we'll actually be crossing more to the yachts out on the harbour. We can see from our vantage position here at the QCYC some of the boats with sails up now. So we'll be coming to them very soon as they're getting into the start area. At the moment, it's like herding cats. They're out there all going different ways. So our camera operators are trying very hard, and we'll bring you some live footage of the boats. We still have 37 minutes and 42 seconds to go before we do. Very soon, we'll also show you the course layout. We'll be able to go to that in a couple of minutes' time too, so you can just see how they snake their way through from Brisbane to Gladstone. So stand by, we'll be able to give you that, and we've got a special guest commentating this year. And
on screen, while we're there, we've got Blackjack there. You can see they've set up with one reef in. They've done their pre-race requirement of having the storm gear up and getting ticked off. Now they're just going down the course, just watching the wind, watching the direction, going to decide what sail will get them down to that turning mark without having to jibe and without being too overpressed.
It's amazing to feel, to know that a 100-foot boat is out there in these conditions. And I must say, with thanks to Peter and to Mark, I was very lucky enough to have a bit of a drive, one shakedown session before a couple of years ago. And seriously, it's like a knife through butter. You can steer that boat with a fingernail. It's just quite amazing. So as you see on board at the moment, just with its mainsail up and as Turdo mentioned, with one reef in, I think that's going to be the order of the day. I think we're going to be having reefs in.
Certainly for the reach across after the first turning mark up to M9, that's going to be a tight reach. They're going to be 70 to 90 true wind angle. They're going to be pressed.
Yep.
And they're all going to get wet, very wet,
Yep.
not from rain, from spray.
All right. Well, let's see if we can... I'll put our producers under a bit of pressure here and see if we can get that course video going. And we do have a very special guest this year that is commentating the course video, and he most certainly would love to be here for that and to do the race again. Even his son is not going to make it this year, who is a very well-known yachtsman, and you'll know who I'm talking about. But let's have a look at the course for the Gladstone Ports Corporation's Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for this year, the course video. Obviously, starting out here outside of Cabbage Tree Creek. Can we go to that? Yes, we can.
Hi, I'm Brad Barker, past Commodore of the Port Curtis Sailing Club and veteran of 27 Brisbane to Gladstone races. It's my pleasure to outline the course for you today. The organising authority and host club of this historic race is the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, located at Shorncliffe on Cabbage Tree Creek. At precisely midday this year, the yachts will receive the starting gun and set course for the first turning mark at Redcliffe. From here, the yachts will head east across Moreton Bay towards Moreton Island for the M8 beacon, before turning north for M9 off beautiful Tangalooma. The yachts will then work their way through the northwest shipping channel, heading gradually back towards the top of Bribie Island. This year, the start of the race is an hour before high tide, so the next 6 hours of ebb tide will favour all yachts, and hopefully still benefit the smaller yachts before it changes. Finally, with Caloundra Fairway Buoy on the port-hand side, the fleet breaks the shackles of Moreton Bay. Navigators will plot courses that they believe will be the quickest. This could bring yachts inshore skirting Double Island Point or further offshore, chasing favourable winds and current. These decisions could be the difference of winning or losing. With beautiful Fraser Island on the port side, yachts will round Indian Head, which is the halfway point, and then Breaksea Spit before turning northwesterly, rounding the picturesque Lady Elliot Island and heading across what is affectionately termed the Paddock. With the lights of Agnes Water on the horizon, the yachts will pick up the first channel beacon, S2, before snaking through the flashing lights of the shipping channel. This can be particularly tricky at night with the lights of Gladstone in the background. Yachts shouldn't have too much trouble dealing with the smaller tides this year, but they need to keep a watchful eye for the massive coal or liquid gas ships coming the other way. Finally, the end is in sight with the finish, a line of sight between the A7 beacon and the buoy off Spinnaker Park, where the finish line crew will fire a gun to mark the end of the race for each yacht.
This live stream proudly brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. Also with thanks to Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G, the Courier Mail, Where for You, and to our principal naming partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation.
You are watching the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race 2021, and one of the Gladstone boats that we have in the race, other than Wistari, who is in the record equaling 51st year of her campaign, and I'm sure she's going to do more, is Gladstone icon John Eibel. And John is on board Restless today. We're going to try and cross to him and have a bit of a chat to him with his Larry shirts on, and I'm hoping he's there. Johnny, have you got us there?
Yeah, Grant. How you going?
Yeah, very good, John. It looks like you haven't got all your beautiful shirts on today. You look a little bit more under wet weather gear.
Yeah, mate, there's a little bit happening out here, so shirts are put away. Common sense has taken over, and yeah, the crew are nice and rugged up, ready to get nice and warm, and ready for whatever happens going out through the bay today.
John, it's good to see you, mate, and your team all fired up. This boat has won the Gladstone in the past. Is this the sort of conditions you're looking for?
Yeah, it has won in conditions slightly less than this, so at the moment we're looking at the top limit of the conditions for the boat, so I believe it's going to get stronger as we go up the coast, but we'll see what we do when we get out there.
So what time do you think you'll be in there? What time have you ordered the cold beers and hot pies brought down to you?
Well, I'm told by previous crew the earliest they finished is 5:20 on Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon. So that's our aim, to beat the old crew.
Yeah, just in time for dinner.
Exactly, just in time for hot pies and sausage rolls.
Now, John, we know that
from our beautiful shore crew.
The Gladstone crew you've got on board, if you had to lay a bet on who's the first one that's going to lose their lunch, who would that be?
I've already had a chat with one who's said if he's sick, it's not because he's scared, it's just because he's seasick. So.
We're okay with names. You are allowed to name and shame.
Oh, I don't know if you'll let Sheldon. Will you let me say your name over this live stream?
Excellent. For those that are watching now live on Facebook Live and all around the world, John, can you describe the conditions for us out on the bay?
At the moment, we've got 20s, gusting 26, 27. No sign of any squalls or rain yet, so we believe it's from the southeast, and it'll be pretty consistent until we get outside. Cape Morton and Double Island Point are recording high mid-30s, so she might strengthen up as we get across the bay a bit more over to Morton, but no, it's only got a little bit of a sea out here, but the seas outside will be a lot bigger and a lot longer, and we'll get some good rides on them.
So, John, how are you setting up your boat for the start? Have you got a reef in? What are you going to hoist once the gun goes, mate?
Yeah, we're going for number one reef and number two headsail at the start. It might be just too shy and too breezy for us for an Assy, but we'll be ready for it if we can fly it. But we have a pretty conservative start, especially around 30 other odd boats in this sort of breeze, because a few tend to round up and take off on you, etc. So, so that's our setup. Number 2, 1 reef, and we'll have the Assy ready to go.
Great stuff, John. We really appreciate you joining us in your pre-start manoeuvres there. We wish you all the best on your trip to Gladstone, and thanks for joining us. I know the folks back home will be certainly hitting the Facebook page now and giving us a big thumbs up. So, John Ible, skipper of Restless from the Port Curtis Sailing Club, thanks very much for your time today.
No worries. Thanks all. Keep up the good work and love the coverage.
Good on you, mate.
Take care all. Have a great race.
Thanks, Johnny. John Ible, skipper of Restless, perhaps another dark horse for the overall. Saw a shake of your head there, Turdo. No?
No.
Okay.
No. Sorry. No.
Okay. It'll be difficult for them.
Yeah. It's a tough race for a small boat like that. You've really got to put the bit between your teeth and submarine the thing the whole way there. And
she just won't get up and boogie like some of the other boats will in these conditions. So they'll stretch out on her a little bit. But, it's good to see them out there. And, local blokes going in, so they'll be well cheered as they turn up. And at the right time, late on at Saturday Arvo, that's perfect.
Great stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's a good time too.
Yep, let's head out to the beautiful South Pacific 2, which is rolling its way around out there. The start boat for the 73rd race. Let's check in with our newest member of the team. Not just our roving reporter, but our rolling reporter. Out on the seas,
Ready?
Nat Cooper.
Counting down. It's going to go through to us now. Here we are. 3. Hi, I'm joined by His Excellency, the Honourable Paul de Jersey AC, Governor of Queensland. Thank you for joining us today, Governor. You started every race as your tenure during governmency, and this could possibly be your last one, sadly.
I think it probably will be, yes. I'll have started six of the last 6 races, actually. Last year we missed out because of COVID, but it's been a wonderful experience from my point of view.
And what are you going to miss about it?
Just looking about and seeing the boats and the spirit of friendly rivalry out there, and a heavy Queensland emphasis, of course, too. It's just wonderful.
Absolutely, and one of the oldest perpetual trophies in this race is the Courier Mail Cup. This year, with the winds being the way that they are, it could possibly be a smaller boat like Wistari that could take out the IRC honours. What's your hot tip for the race?
Look, as Governor, I have to be impartial. They tell me I have to be impartial, but it would really be wonderful in this, probably my last race, if a Queensland crew could win.
Absolutely.
That's not welcome, the Southerners, but it would be wonderful. Is that asking too much? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that's a great hot tip. And Governor, so next year perhaps you might even jump on board the boat to show. You'll be shooting the gun again this year, the start race.
The other thing I want to say is that I think this race is marvellous for its uniting Brisbane and Gladstone. Gladstone is one of the most progressive powerhouse cities in the southeast, and I'm so pleased to see the Mayor is here today.
I don't think the Mayor would ever miss it, to be honest. Yeah, so great for you to join us today. We might even see you sailing on a yacht next year, perhaps.
Maybe.
No.
Falling overboard.
Oh, goodness, don't say that. Back to you, Grant.
This live stream proudly brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. Also with thanks to Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G, the Courier Mail, We're for You, and to our principal naming partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation.
Good on you, Nats, and thank you for that. And just an explanation, we've got a little bit of delay going out into the head of Moreton, so thank you very much to Nat, and she'll have some more dignitaries and VIPs to interview during the morning. As we saw with John, it's they pride themselves on wearing their beautiful shirts, their Hawaiian shirts, to float around and go past everyone, but they're locked into some heavy weather gear.
Absolutely. Once you're wet, you're wet. So you want the gear on. And once you're wet underneath that, not much you can do about it. It's going to keep you relatively warm if you've got the right stuff.
Too easy. Performance handicap rating is another one of the divisions that we're the boats will be actually fighting it out for, or PHRF, Performance Handicap Rating Factor. Now, this is a handicap number assigned to a class of yacht based on the yacht speed relative to a theoretical yacht with a rating of 0. Now, seriously, you need to be a NASA scientist to understand how this has all worked. But most clubs have got what's called a racing officer who map out the handicap for these particular vessels. While we talk about PHRF and who our tips may be for this division, can I just congratulate and thank again the Holm family, Pete and Christine and the entire Holm family for their generous first prize in this particular division of $5,000. Karen Lawyers, Stephanie Karen, who we will feature very, very soon, she's and her company, Karen Lawyers, $2,500 for second place. And Furtado Property, another one of our great sponsors, and we thank them very much for a third prize of $1,000. PHRF is it more? Does it bring the older boats back into this one?
Oh, absolutely. It gives everybody a go. It's the ratings determined by a committee of people that looked at past performance and how the boat is being raced and sailed. The beauty of PHRF is it doesn't require you to have 100% foils or 100% sails. So it's a much more economical way of being competitive and having a good yacht race. You don't need to have the bottom in 100% condition if that's the bottom that you've been racing with. You don't need to have the latest and greatest sails. It'll help you, but your rating will get adjusted. That's the way performance handicap works.
More about the people.
Absolutely. People and conditions for the boat and how it's sailed there. And every so often you'll get an outlier come up and win because their performance has been on an up and down windward-leeward course or upwind, downwind, and then all of a sudden we get a race like this where it's downwind hard all the way, and that's the corner of the box that they're in, and they'll street it.
All right. If I'm going to get political for a moment, PHRF is probably the answer to the question that obviously gets put forward in a lot of people when they talk about yachting, thinking that it's elitist. Would this be a way of saying that you can get into the sport of offshore racing and still be competitive?
I've done a few miles in my time, and the blokes that I've sailed with aren't very elitist.
I was just going to say, that's the worst statement. We're the least elitist sport in the world. And I'll tell you why, because can I run onto the field and play a game of AFL with one of the professional teams?
Oh, look, you're a very fit man, but the answer's probably no.
No, but in yachting, you get to go up against the absolute best in the world. We do not exclude anyone. And sailing is actually very inclusive. If you want to go sailing, we'll take you out and you can get on a boat. Just rock up to a yacht club. You'll get people fawning over you and letting. We are the furthest from an elitist sport. And it's a fantastic sport, but the PHRF is an opportunity to sail your boat or yourself and push it as well as you can, and it doesn't matter what you bring.
Absolutely. I was having a chat to some grand old athletes of the sport earlier today. They're racing their boat. They're pushing to win, and these blokes have got a 7 in front of their age. There's blokes doing the Hobart with an 8 in front of their age. It's one of the only sports you can do from when you walk to when they bury you.
Yeah.
Yep. No, fantastic. And thanks for answering that question. We have sailing schools in and around the coast, such as the one in Mooloolaba. And if you want to get involved with sailing, please contact your local club. It may not be on these big boats. You may want to even have you introduce your kids to some of the smaller Sabo-style dinghies and that sort of way. But look, it's a fantastic sport. It's been great for us over the years, so please get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. If your child has a boat, they're never going to have any money to do anything wrong other than waste it on boats. And there's nothing wrong with wasting money on boats.
There you go. All right, let's see if we can have a... This just gets to show you what sort of conditions we're looking at out there. I'm trying to grab a hull number from that boat there now.
And I can see a finger. I'm going to have a stab that is
Hasta
La Vista and Harley Cowler Shore.
Yep, absolutely.
And there were a few grand old athletes on that boat. Harley's done 37 of these races, which sort of gives away his age a little bit, given that he started when he was 16. He's missed a few in the middle too. But Sydney 38, they're going to have a fun race keeping that thing upright all the way. They're not the fastest running boat in the world, and they can get a bit tricky on the wood in the middle of the night.
Vice Commodore of the Yacht Club was sitting in as well, so somebody that puts back into the sport in a big way.
A fantastic story about Harley a couple of years ago was he was planned to do the race, and unfortunately the skipper that he was doing the race with pulled out at the last minute, so he said, I still want to do the race, so he turned around and bought a yacht. So and that is a true story. So let's have a look at some of the other yachts in the fleet today. I think
that's the Muse.
The Muse we have in our preview screen, hopefully,
which is a Cav 350 SL. So a little bit of an older design, probably not favoured in these conditions. Good all-round sort of boat, but probably not going to threaten the win. But it is owned by one of the female owners of the race. Sharon Boyle is the owner of that boat. So
yes, and there's two of them. So there's a race
skippers
within a race.
Yep.
There's two 350 SLs in this race.
Absolutely.
So they'll be looking. I would hazard a guess that there's a little side wager on who gets there first.
The other being Flying Colours is the other Muse in the race. Sharon Boyle is the skipper here, and two. There were three. We now have two female skippers sailing the race too, with Steph Karen as well. So we wish the Muse all the best as they head up the coast today. Again, supporting a reef in there and bouncing along quite well.
So for the people that haven't done this sort of thing, one of the processes is that the teams will have sailed past the committee boat and shown that they've got storm sails. The safety is very, very critical, and how we go about this. So they'll have personal locator beacons on. They will have all sorts of safety gear. So this is very much about safety. Water temperature, if you're not from Queensland, is around 24 to 25 degrees Celsius.
Beautiful.
So it's not that cold. It's higher, 26, 27. It's getting warmer as they go further north anyway. That's
Absolutely.
Right.
As you get close to Gladstone, the centre of the universe, that's when it's a really perfect temperature.
Yeah. So it's not onerous sailing. Like, I mean, to be honest, I think we'd be pretty keen to be out on a boat there having a good red hot go at this thing. So 308 nautical miles of pure fun ahead for these teams.
Oh, absolutely. When the splashes hit you in the face and they're warm, you know you're going in the right direction.
Don't forget the YB Yacht Tracker too. You can have a look at that on the Brisbane to Gladstone.com website and have a look at these boats. Of course, we're around about 16 minutes away from the start.
One thing I think is quite interesting and we need to bring up, when with all this technology we've got, we're doing this live stream, the first race, two boats, 1949, two boats had radio, the rest had homing pigeons.
That's exactly true. And that's a true story.
That's my favourite fact in the whole race. I love that.
When you delve back into the history of this race, and Herb Prendergast, who is a member here at QCYC, he's part of the furniture here and a self-appointed historian, he's got some stories that will curl your hair of what used to happen. And considering those days to where we are today, even from a safety point of view, is just incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you go swimming off one of these boats, you want to know that you've got half a chance of getting picked up. And having been in the position of picking up a few people in my time over racing races of various places around the world, picking them up, they're fairly excited to get back on the boat.
Absolutely.
Yes, they are. And that's probably a fun fact from Restless I should have mentioned earlier on. I've done a race from Yeppoon to Mackay on that race, and we had to pick up an entire crew that had turned turtle on Renegade, and we still turned around, picked them all up and won the race. So there you go.
I see in your CV you called that an ocean race.
It's offshore? Come on, give me a break, please.
Well, Alex Goffer's on Alive, the RP66, and Alex was competing in the Volvo Round the World Ocean Race and actually stepped off the side of the boat, which is never a good thing in the middle of an ocean race. So, you know, he's a good man to talk to, and he's very much convinced about safety.
Yeah, great. And he can swim.
He can swim, yeah. He walked on water, actually.
Sorry, gentlemen, we're down to 15 minutes before the start, and we'll be having some preparatory signals today. And may I just say, at this point of time, with the conditions that we have on Moreton Bay, it is very difficult. We hope to bring you some drone shots of the fleet, and we hopefully will still be able to do that. But with blustery conditions as they are, it's just quite difficult to get those cameras up at the moment. So I do apologise if you're looking leaving it for reasonably talented and good-looking men for too much. That's because we're still trying to get into position with these yachts that are out in the harbour, but we will feature as many as we can. So let's, there's one in particular.
Yeah.
Have a look at that thing.
Phenomenal.
That is as a line on his favourite, Blackjack, and she is just powering.
Yep. They've still got the reef in. They're just doing a bear away, having a look down, see what the angle is down to the first turning mark. I reckon they'll have a different sail up the front when the gun goes.
Yeah.
I reckon we're going to see 30 knots out of her between here and the turning mark.
If you missed it for a second there, in the foreground was Wistari.
Yes.
She actually just ducked past Wistari, and that just goes to show you the difference in size of these yachts.
And we also had Stephanie Kieran's boat on before that, the Humphreys 54.
Okay. Well, just to give you some idea, so Blackjack, the 100 there, she's now probably 12, 14 years old, and technology has moved on well past that, where there are right now boats being built to sail completely airborne, foiling for offshore racing.
And here is Not a Diamond. Here's a boat loaded with rock stars. You've got William Vorman, a Rocket 49 sailor, who's even more of a Rocket Etchell sailor, ably assisted by Lucas Down. There's also Stacey Jackson and the evanescent Joel Turner, who's never afraid of a good time down south. He's quite an accomplished yachtsman as well.
Part of the Australian sailing team.
Yeah, these boys will be able to push this boat at 100% the whole way. They've got the steerers, they've got the crew, they've got the rig. Look out for something special from her.
The only thing I worry about with this boat is it just seems to be a little sticky, I reckon. Like it does push a lot of water. It's a bit like the old Volvo 70s. It doesn't want to get up and go on top of the water. So
when they designed this, they had the Queen's song in mind.
What's that?
Fat Bottom Girls.
I'm glad you prefaced that, David. Actually, when the other David Redfern built this boat, he told his wife that he'd purchased a yacht, and she said, "That's not a diamond." So that's why he actually called the boat "That's Not a Diamond." So.
Well, Stacey Jackson, of course, was one of the members of the Round the World, the Volvo Ocean Race crew, the all-female crew.
Yes.
And very talented sailor, very determined. She gets ahead. Sailmaker, she can do anything on a boat. So wonderful crew member to have on board. Joel Turner, he's also, we mentioned Australian sailing team. So, it's all good fun out there. That boat will be sent, but they will be completely underwater the whole time.
I reckon that's the other Cav 350 that we were talking about before, Flying Colours. She's just got her storm gear up. You can see the orange corner in the top of the sail. That's so when someone's looking for you, they can find you. You can see as it comes down, it's not as easy to spot as what it was with orange patch up. Another safety feature.
She won the PHRF in 2017 in the Brisbane to Gladstone, so she knows how to drive.
She's got pedigree. Got pedigree.
So in the world of performance handicap, you only ever win a race once.
It's true, because your handicap bumps straight up.
Yes, and a lot of golfers watching the broadcast can know exactly what we're talking about from a very good Stableford win, let's just say.
We just had a flash of one of the Tasmans, his Grant's favourite, coming up in the preview, which hopefully we'll see in a second. She looks such a long way to Gladstone on a little boat like that, and you love your yachting. These boats are classics.
There she is.
Just like driving an antique car. You've got to love it, you've got to caress it, you've got to maintain it, you've got to keep it dry. And these are beautiful boats in an ocean, in a seaway. You are as safe as houses in one of those.
I have a feeling that was Pagan too.
It was Pagan too.
Yep, and she's the sister ship to the one that I think is actually going to win. But look, I am saying that these guys are the chance of winning because of their age. Now, this looks to me like Karumba.
Yeah.
And she, unfortunately, we had a locked-off camera on board this, but we've had technical difficulties. But look at that thing. She's from RQ, and she will be fast.
Yes. Dual rudder, which will make it easier to steer in these pressing conditions.
Yep.
They shouldn't tip her out with two rudders on the back of the boat. She's a big boat. She should run fine. She's been a little bit heavier for the flat water, but with all this breeze that we've got on, if they keep the power up to her, she's going to get there in quick time.
She's got a TP52 rig in her, so she's a good one. And there's Wistari.
My race favourite, my Courier Mail Cup winner.
There we go. I can hear Gladstone right now, all cheering at the same time. She is the boat of Gladstone Wistari, competing in her 51st record-equalling race with Scott Patrick.
Some of these young blokes on this boat are very, very good yachters.
Yep.
They know their way around a boat and how to keep the thing going at 100%. They've got just that natural feel and natural ability. They're smoking. That's Stephanie Caron.
There we go.
On the Humphreys 52.
Yes, the second
54.
of the female skippers in this race.
Active again.
Yep, active again. And Stephanie is actually still the owner of the current leader for the Sydney to Hobart yacht race, the Jane Tate Memorial Trophy, because of the race not starting this year.
Okay.
She still has that honour of owning that.
And Jane Tate race, that boat was active, wasn't it? I think the boat's been named after that.
Exactly correct.
Yeah.
Yep. She's paying homage to Jane.
So that boat's been around for a while. That's the old Oyster Catcher 28, I think, from memory, which is a great, and then became Bengal 7, and it was brought back by Stephanie from Japan where it was Bengal 7. So 2010. So the boat's passed a few owners in a short amount of time. So she's still good. Got some grinders on board. Got a couple of rowers on board.
Yeah, and they've got a full main on and a number 3 looking at that. Just looking at them close sailing upwind.
Probably would prefer to have the wind on the nose.
Yes.
Rather than blowing it up the bum.
Absolutely, yes. This
the other
is
way
not
is
the condition
more fun.
for her. Yeah, absolutely. And Stephanie did very well in the City to Surf recently too. And it's a great boat, and it's fantastic to see Stephanie back in. She's a great supporter of this race, and we actually had a bit of a chat with her prior to the race.
And she's sponsoring PHRF.
That's exactly right. Her company. Yeah. So not only racing, but putting it back in. We're only 2 minutes away from the 10. Sorry, 2 minutes. 10 minutes away. Actually, we're
2
8
minutes from the 10-minute gun.
2 minutes from. Oh, is that right? I think we must be out on our timing a little bit. They're trying to start as close as they can to midday, but at 11:52 on my watch, we should be getting very, very close anyway. So start at midday.
Maybe 5.
Yeah, maybe they've pushed it out.
Let's just run through the start sequence while we're waiting on boat. So what you'll see at 5 minutes is a warning signal will go up, and then at 4 minutes you'll see another signal, which will be an I flag will fly, and the I flag has a specific meaning in the sailing rules when you have a start, and that's when the racing rules actually kick in, and you can't have your motor on, you can't have anything, you can't have any extra people. So from 4 minutes to go, at 1 minute to go, that I flag will come down, and then at 0, the class flag, which was flown at 5 minutes, will come down. So the I flag means that with 1 minute to go, when that comes down, you cannot be over the ends of the start line. If you are over the start line, you can't dip back over the line. You've got to go around the ends of the line to start. So that's the purpose of that.
And in this race, if you're over and you're called OCS and you choose to carry on, you've got to carry a 30% time penalty.
Ouch.
So you don't want to be over.
No.
And if you choose to go back, you're going to cost yourself at least 5 minutes.
So from a strategic perspective, if you're trying to put this together, here comes the gun.
Okay, we should be able to get a bit of an age and a gauge from, a gauge from this. When this is fired will be the 5 minute gun.
Yeah, I would suggest.
As we get close to the line, to the start of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. As you can see, that's on the old South Pacific too, and it's still even bumpy on that old thing out there. So 5 minutes away before we start. Interesting point too, we had Carumba on just a moment ago, and you were talking about engines going. Carumba is a manual boat with a powerful rig, obviously. What's the difference between a manual boat and an automatic boat? Because some of them actually do need engines going. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, they're just running hydraulic winches or powered winches. So the loads on some of these boats are enormous. So with the powered winches, you do have to run a little generator. But it used to be illegal up until about 10 years ago. So some of the boats do have powered winches, mainly the boats that have what's called a canting keel. But yeah, so if you've got a manual rig, you'd prefer... There we go. There goes the gun. It's important to understand, if you're a non-sailor, The actual signals, the sailors look at the flags that are flown. The sound, because it takes time to travel, as we all know from our physics, you actually look for the signal from the flag. So as soon as you see it, that's when the signal goes off. So the gun is just to bring your attention to the flag.
I could just see that there was Peter Holm from the Holm family who was firing that gun just then. And Peter has done the race countless times, and his family, the Holm family, synonymous with this race. Of course, the record holder, equal record holder as of now, which is Laura Barter, the beautiful catch that Ivan Holm Sr. Is still looking after. I had the luxury of one day of taking that out on the harbour. She's a beautiful boat, but now will be equal record holder going into this race with Wistari from Gladstone. So both ends of the line, pigeon pairing at the bookends now.
We've got Blackjack in shot, and it looks like she's got a throw up ready to go. So a fractional code 0 on the furler. You can see there's a line at the front of its sails. When the gun goes, that thing will unwind, and she'll take off.
And yes, absolutely. The throws are revolutionised how fast you can take a boat close reaching. Now it's a much more efficient sail plan, much less drag. You can wind them up pretty quick.
Too easy. Now, listen, we've got a couple of other handicap positions as we get closer to the line. The ORC is probably recognised as the most popular of handicap measurement-based rating systems in the world. Have we got any quick tips for ORC, Turdo?
Yes. Alive has a burglar handicap on ORC. You're a brave man to bet against Alive.
This is the preferred handicap. Preferred navigator on board Alive, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go.
It's an absolute burglar of a handicap.
Dumped your mates in it.
Absolutely. If they lose ORCI, you've got to ask why.
Well, that made that discussion easy, didn't it?
Excellent. Now, we've also got, and we haven't seen her yet in the cruising division. This is another division that is up for grabs, and this category allows boats to use their engines during the race. Now, the cruising division, we're talking some boats such as the Passage, the old Passage, South Passage.
The other 100-footer.
The other 100-footer in the race, which I have actually done 2 Brisbane to Gladstones on board that old thing, which is totally manual, not a winch to be seen. So that's a fantastic old boat. No doubt we'll see that at the start. But that cruising division, again, allows the more casual sailors with older boats to compete in a race.
There's a history of handicap burglars in that class as well. If you look at the winners over that of previous times, there's very dominant performances from quite a few accomplished gentlemen that have done well in that series. I wouldn't want to tip John into being a burglar in that class, but he's not out here this year, so open book to see who's going to get that one.
It's counterintuitive, the engine thing, but basically they have to adjust their time for it. So and they won't be switching them on this trip. It'd be very unlikely any cruisers would be putting engines on this trip.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us for the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone 2021, brought to you live by the Gladstone Regional Council as we're under 2 minutes before the start. Now, every time, look, the fact that we've actually got a broadcast for you and we are being able to bring this to you live is quite amazing considering what we've been through over the last week or so. But unfortunately, the wind conditions out on the harbour are incredibly blustery, so we haven't been able to get our drone shots out there. But we know the Mayor of Gladstone is about to fire the 1-minute gun at any time now. And there it goes. The Mayor of Gladstone himself, Matt Burnett, made the trip down here this morning to get that. 1 minute to go before the start of this great race. We just had a boat on screen a second ago, Maritimo, which is a beautiful boat. There we go.
Michael Spees is on that boat. He runs that campaign for Bill Barry Cotter. Michael would probably take the record of done most miles in this fleet. He'd be right up there. Yeah. He set the Hobart record in a boat a long time ago, and it opened eyes. When Nokia set that Hobart record, it was like, oh my God, can a boat go that fast? I don't think these guys are going to be going that fast this race, but she'll be in the top half dozen across the line. I had a look at the boat before the start. She was the biggest boat in the creek here. She does look immaculately prepared, and I did see Speezy taking absolutely everything possible that weighed anything off the boat.
Here we have the Governor ready to start the race, ladies and gentlemen. This is the There we go, and I believe we're racing. The 73rd, the Gladstone Ports Corporation 73rd Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is underway, and already we see a couple of chutes going up. Now, it all looks fairly passive there until you see what's going to be pouring through this shot at any minute.
It's interesting when you look on camera. It always looks about 10 or 15 knots lighter in wind. And the waves look way smaller than they really are. So we are seeing the boats start to line up. A fairly conservative start, I'd say, as boats are only just starting to come across the line.
Very conservative.
I think a few people may have been caught out or not paying attention, but you can see that most of them have some form of sort of flat reaching sail. We're just starting to see a spinnaker or two pop, but it's not a very long run to that first turning can, and then they're off. So what should be the quickest race on record.
There we go. You heard it first from Jordan. Well, probably not first, probably fifth or sixth. But that looks like Karumba up the front there with the blue chute, looking to go nice and early from that. And is that a code in number 2 coming through? It's interesting we haven't seen Blackjack pour through.
We saw one of your favourites, one of the Tasman Seabirds with the white and blue spinnaker. They were on the line.
Let's go.
Right on the line.
They were off.
I think, it's tough conditions, so everyone's just being a little conservative because of the conditions.
That looks like an early starter, is it? Or is that B52 there?
Could well be. Here
we
comes
go.
Blackjack.
Here comes Blackjack now, just coming into the shot.
Yeah.
And then
that one is Broadsword, Peter Kruger's Broadsword coming through there, and originally named Allegria.
An Archambault 40.
Yep. And,
okay, I've got some words on that one.
Oh, shoot.
So I did the test for the magazine when they first launched that, and I reckon it needs a double rudder on it because it's quite wide in the tail, and when it does heel, it pops its single rudder out of the water a little bit, and they broach quite early. So I think they're going to struggle just a little bit if it gets too windy.
Oh, my goodness. Let's have a look at some of the old... Whoa! There. I think this just goes to show you what we've got here. There's Joanne Brodie. That was my tip. I think she's a little bit late. Can I quickly swap to the other seat?
No, because I have called Pagan 2 to win AMS.
Oh.
And they were on the start with the chute on, pressing.
Excellent.
Active again just went out of shot.
Yep. And here we are with... I believe this is Mad Jack coming through the fleet here at the moment with Greg Black on the helm, and they're entering the AMS. And Greg came up with the name of his New Zealand design Ross 1066 by combining the name of his kids, Madison and Jack. That's where Mad Jack comes from. So it was on the screen very quickly. So we thank Mad Jack and Greg for being a part of it.
Yeah, I had them as a pick for Division 2 and PHS. I might have put my runny on the wrong horse there, looking at that start.
Okay, well, it is a long race, absolutely, and coming through the fleet there now. There she is, South Passage, the other 100-footer you had in the race there. This is competing in the cruising division, and she's been there for a long time. She's a sail training vessel down here in Brisbane, and you can actually take your people out on that, and maybe corporate functions and all that sort of stuff. So it's great to see her.
She's
back
not
in the
as
race.
old as she looks either. She was built in the 90s, I think.
Yeah,
she?
at All Yacht Spas in Lytton here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And I noticed she didn't have any topsails on.
Yes. She's got a reef in.
Do you think?
That looks like an S&S 34.
It does.
It
very
does.
much so.
Yeah, so S&S 34 just cruising around. So
I think that's Morningstar.
The iconic round the world, when you do your round the world circumnavigation, you've got to pull an S&S 34 out of the cupboard.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you're ever in doubt of what to take and your budget's a bit light, grab one of those. More people have come back in an S&S 34 than any other type of boat around the world.
Well, probably to draw a parallel there, Jessica Watson on Pink Lady sailed around the world in an S&S 34. So there you go, that last boat we had there. So as the yachts start heading away to Gladstone, it's been I would have to say the word conservative does jump to mind, but some of those boats were only just going across the line there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows that people were taking care. Long overnight race, plenty of breeze. They've stepped it back, de-risked it, and they'll take the weather as it comes.
Absolutely.
I will say they'll be going quick right now.
Yes, and like we said to you before, we'd love to be able to grab you some pictures of Blackjack thundering down the harbour, but as you can see with those conditions, it is even more difficult to get a drone in the air. So
I can see someone there with a sail out the back of the yacht instead of the front of the yacht. Looks like they've changed down. It might be a bit tight for them to get up to the turning mark. I can't identify the boat from that range, sorry.
Okay, so just explaining that, the turning mark is off Redcliffe before they head over to Morton Island. And when you say tight, explain that for the
angle of the wind is too close to the bow to carry a big front sail. So generally that'd mean in this much pressure, the angle's gone in front of 100 degrees. You just can't hang on to it. And make your course up to the mark. They've also got garnet rock down to leeward, so you've got to make sure that you don't plough into that at 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
But having said that, there goes a boat with a chute on that just did a neat little broach for us. I can't see which boat that is, sorry.
All the kites are looking like they're struggling. Anyone with a symmetrical kite looks like they're struggling to hold it. So your mate's on Restless. So John's decision on Restless to go with one reef and a number 2 jib looks like it's probably wise. They would have done the mathematics. You can see.
You can see a whole lot of origami.
What we can probably see is just Alive is jumping out from the fleet, and you'll see that also Blackjack will be jumping out. You'll see some of the super quick boats starting to jump out from that fleet.
Potentially, if I can ask Brian to zoom out just a fraction on that, we should be able to see the distance that Blackjack has already put on the rest of the fleet. That'll give a bit of an indication. But these are fantastic shots here coming through the fleet. All of these boats expected in Gladstone anywhere between the record time, which will be early hours of Saturday morning, right through until Sunday. And while we're talking about that, we haven't actually gone into a lot of the weather situation there. And talking about the weather, you've been studying that quite intently, Dave Turton.
Yeah, I had a good look. I got a call up yesterday morning to go and sit in the navigator's chair, and I thought I might be a bit wet. I'll keep sitting in the commentator's chair. Now, unfortunately, I've missed a record-breaking potentially ride this year. We've got a southeast trade system in place. It's in play. The isobars have squeezed together just that little bit and given us pretty solid pressure. If you're looking at the sat pic, you can see a line of clouds developing off to the east, and there's going to be pressure in that. Last night, some of the squalls came through. They had 40, 45 in front of them at Double Island Point and at Cape Morton. So once you're up off the track, you're going to be looking at the clouds. You don't want to get stuck behind one unless you want to rest. You want to pop out the front side of those as best you can, because in this sort of system, there's a potential of a rain train. And you get stuck in a continuous rain cell, your breeze is going to drop down 10, 15 knots quite comfortably. Whereas if you're in front of it, you're going to be 25 plus knots all the way. To me, the angle's not going to be too hard to get up the coast. It's going to be foot to the floor. We can push this as hard as we like without being compromised by running into the coast one way or sailing 1,000,000 miles off to Noumea the other way. The hardest bit will be the flat run from Breaksea Spit home. It is going to be dead downwind, and that's going to take some good steering by everyone, because it's very difficult to steer a boat dead downwind in a lot of breeze. There's going to have to do a lot of jibes. You don't want to soak too low and Chinese jibe the thing, and then you don't want to smoke it too hot and press it up too hard.
Excellent. Look, it's going to be very interesting, and make sure you keep that yacht tracker peeled to your computer screens or even to your iOS devices and Android devices. So you can get it in the download store. What have we got? Look, that boat seems to be carrying that kite very well.
That's the Schumacher 54 Maritimo, am I right?
Trying to get that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like Maritimo to us.
Yeah, with the Gold Coast Spinnaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there it is. Names pops out of the spray on the side. It's really unfortunate that we lost Grant Warrington and Stefan this year in the race, because I know that Maritimo and Stefan have got a really a rivalry building, two big powerboat guys who are now going back into sail. Let's get to the South Pacific 2, and we can cross to the Mayor of Gladstone, who will be not only here today but flying back and welcoming the boats with a carton of beer with his councillors later on today. Let's go to the
I'm here
race
with Gladstone
now.
Regional Council Mayor Matt Burnett. Matt, we're rolling around here on the start boat, but having a great time. The evolution of live streaming really does allow us to bring the race to the people, no matter where they are in the world. How important is it that we continue to live stream the start of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race?
Oh, look, it's fantastic, and it's not just for the people in Gladstone watching at the GECC Food Court at the Harbour Festival, or whether they're watching at East Shores at the new big screen, that Port Authority big screen. I know they're also watching at the Shorncliffe Blue Water Festival, but they can watch on their live on their iPhones, their iPads, or any mobile device. And I know that people are watching right around the world now. So how good is that? You know, it's not just yachties, it's just people who want to have a look at the yacht race, keep up to date what's going on, and we'll make sure we keep live streaming our race for a long time to go.
Oh, that's great news. Great to hear, Matt. And thank you to the Gladstone Regional Council for sponsoring the live stream of this race. The yachties are now heading their way up to Gladstone. What can they expect with the Easter festivities in Gladstone?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we've had to postpone our B2G Village, but that's okay. There's going to be heaps of entertainment at the Gladstone Yacht Club, of course. So there's live entertainment on Friday night tonight, and then they won't get in tonight though. They'll be very early in the morning. I'm tipping about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. The Blackjacks and the Alives will get in, and the Multis as well. The big Multi will get in about 3 or 4 in the morning, Rex. But then there'll be live entertainment at the Yacht Club Saturday night, Sunday night, and of course there's the Harbour Festival for anyone who wants to bring their families on. The Harbour Festival is continuing, which is good news as well.
With this win, they'll certainly be setting a cracking pace for sure. I actually think some of them might actually beat us up, and we're flying back tonight. Yeah. Matt, you'll be meeting the yachts, of course, as they come into the harbour. What's in store for them?
Well, as per the tradition, we will welcome every yacht with a carton of beer, and this year it's a carton of Yellow Patch Lager. So that's from Auckland House in Gladstone. Yellow Patch home brew, Gladstone brewed lager. How good is that? So, locally brewed in Gladstone. We're really excited about that. The team at Auckland House have brewed up about 80 to 100 cartons of beer for us. So, we'll make sure every yacht gets one of those. The bigger yachts get 2, and of course the medallion as well as their memento of the race. And it is a great race, 73 years. Last year, obviously, the race was cancelled, and here we are racing again today with about 40 yachts in the fleet when you include the monos and the multis. So it's awesome.
Absolutely, it'd be great. A celebration to be had. I'm sure these yachties will be very thirsty by the time they get back to Gladstone.
Absolutely.
Matt, thank you so much to you and your team at the Gladstone Regional Council for sponsoring the live stream. Couldn't do it without your support, so thank you so much. Back to you, Graham. This live stream proudly brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. Also with thanks to Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G, the Courier Mail, Where for You, and to our principal naming partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation.
Good on you, Matty, and great to see the Gladstone Regional Council again sponsoring the live stream and bringing these pictures to you. We're still on Moreton Bay, and we're heading towards the rounding mark, which is off Redcliffe. We're just having a look at the YB tracker too, and it seems to be having a little bit of a glitch. So I'm sure they'll be trying to get that on and working. But here we have this Maritimo again, and you were saying before, Terts, the crew that they have on board this. There's some experience there.
Oh yeah, they know how to get a boat downwind in hard running conditions. They'll be grinning ear to ear. They'll have the bone between their teeth, and they'll be pushing.
We got Richard Billett, the 12-foot skiff sailor on there as well. Mary Spence. That I reckon is Black Diamond. That's a GP42. This boat, if it is absolutely built for these conditions. It's the perfect boat for these conditions. They would be so happy. That looks very comfortable. They reef in, throw up. She's out-sheeted. They're not pressed at all. They're taking it easy in these sort of conditions, looking at that. Everyone's down the back of the boat. Nice straight sailing. Coming into the turning mark. Grant was saying the yellow brick tracker before. It has a live out in front. I've got to plug that as my old steed. And, and there's nothing better than being in a live and sticking it to Mark Bradford and the Blackjack boys. Having been lucky enough to get in front of them a couple of times over the years, the Alive boys will be
revelling in this moment at this point of time. I just hope the Blackjack's 100%. And they're getting the thing wound up.
I'm suggesting that might be Karumba there out there.
Yeah. Blue sheet Karumba.
Can I just say to Tam Farragut, Tam was called up at the last second to carry the camera on the boat, and he just said, whatever we can do for the race, we will do. So, Tam and your team, thank you very much. Unfortunately, some technical glitches have not allowed us to take those pictures, but look fantastic, and we really, really appreciate that. But she's actually designed with a lifting keel. She can actually lift that keel out. Why you would want to in these conditions, I don't know. But you would certainly, it's an option.
Can I just point out, that wake shot you saw from the powerboat, just to show you how fast the boats are going. If the amount of wake that powerboat was putting out is just to give you some idea, because it never translates fully on screen. It looks pretty like they're just drifting along, but it's not. It's not. There's a lot of power and load going through those boats, and they're on the edge. We're just seeing a boat broach just there right now, just hidden behind that shot, and that happens when the boat it loses connection with the rudder. It just boats. That's when they're right on the edge that you get a broach, and that's part of the skill of being a good sailor to prevent that happening.
Yeah, we've got a nice shot there looking down to the fleet. Maritimo there with the big Gold Coast chute. I even think I saw a shot before of a bow coming out.
Yeah.
Which when you're on a 52 or a 54, that's got some width. And that looks like not a diamond.
Could be not a diamond, or that could be black diamond coming in as well. So not a diamond, they're both about the same size.
Yeah,
so
they're both 42.
So they should be. I will say that Maritimo, she's come from San Francisco as well, so she's used to a lot of wind. All her ropes are pre-stretched after coming from San Francisco, so she'll be a pretty handy boat. And they did hunt that boat down based on ratings. She'll rate very, very well. So one to keep your eye on. Little square top rig, the fro, what we call a fro, that means fractional code 0 is what we're talking about. So that's what a fro is. It's not quite a running sail, but it's not for going upwind. It's sort of that sort of tight reaching, and makes a hell of a difference to the boat.
Yeah, the boat out there is calling it as not a diamond, and you're seeing the skill of the people on board here. That boat doesn't look pressed, but it is ripping. It's going through the water. You can see the spray coming off the bow. You can see the fro nicely trimmed, the leech at the top exhausting out. Yeah. They're underway.
The sailors on that boat will be going, look, what else can we do? How can we make it go faster?
The only reason they're not pulling the reef out now is because they've got to do a 60-degree turn and head up back closer to the wind for the next leg, for a 10-mile slog upwind.
So it's probably a really good question to ask. And again, for the uninitiated who haven't been sailing, you would think the more sail you put up, the faster you go. Why is this not the case?
No, it's a combination. Sailing, that's why sailing's so hard to master. Sailing, you're chasing power until you've got full speed, and then you're trying to reduce drag. So it's like if you look at your aeroplane wing, when you take off from in a plane, you'll see that the flaps come down and make the wing longer and deeper and bigger. And then as it gets up to speed, they disappear. So basically it becomes about reducing drag. The other analogy, and the other thing for if you're a non-sailor watching this to understand, is while a plane uses an engine to force air over those wings and can keep those wings at the same angle, with a sailing boat we don't use an engine, so we have to hold our sails at the exact right angle to the wind, and we create the flow over the sail by holding our sails at the right angle. That's why sails are always adjusting. So if you're on board these boats, you are literally adjusting those sails 100% of the time. They are not locked in. They are always being adjusted, and you're trying. And you're not just adjusting the sheet. You're adjusting. They've got lots of micro controls all over the sails to create the perfect shape for whatever that gust of wind does.
Excellent. Yep, good explanation.
I might have to stand corrected. My phone's going ding, ding, ding from some people that are on the water saying that a live hasn't started. So hopefully everything's 100%. And
they're missing you, mate.
Well, perhaps the red, perhaps that yacht the yacht tracker is correct at this point in time. I know we haven't been able to bring you shots, unfortunately, of Blackjack taking off. We haven't been able to get our drones in the air because of the strong winds that are out on the bay at the moment. And we're looking at flags, some of the Gladstone Regional Council flags out the front here of the QCYC, and they are just bone straight. So it is actually a very, very windy day. But the tracker is actually not showing Blackjack anywhere near the lead. So that'll be very interesting to see. And unfortunately, like we've said all the way along, this is a live broadcast of a sporting event. We bring you the best of what we can do. So,
the other thing to take into account is that there is a lot of... from a navigation perspective, there's a lot of tide streaming up the coast. Turt said that before, heading north. So, if you're actually planning your course, you would be trying to stay quite close to the coast. So, for those people who are listening in who are on the coast, along the Sunshine Coast of Queensland, you will be able to see these boats. And I'll give you some sort of split of times. You'll start to see the leaders come in to the southern end of Bribie Island about 1 o'clock. At Caloundra, just before 2 o'clock. Then Point Cartwright about 2:20. They'll start going past. Noosa about 3:10. So they're absolutely flying. And then they'll be cruising along off Double Island Point about 4:30, 4:25 to give you some sort of idea. So if you are sort of spread out, and if you're one of those millions of people driving your four-wheel drive up along the sandy beaches of Fraser Island, they'll probably be at the top of Fraser Island maybe 8 o'clock, off Corindi Orchard Beach, which is the easternmost point, around about 7 o'clock. So that should give you some idea. If you're sitting at home watching this and you think, I wouldn't mind watching, that should give you some idea of when the lead boat should come past, and then they'll be streaming past from then on.
Yeah, absolutely. A good spot if you're on Fraser Island listening and watching is Indian Head. They come in quite tight on Indian Head. That's the closest, apart from Caloundra Headland, and then Point Cartwright, maybe Noosa Headland, right off the end are other good vantage points. If you're up on Double Island Point, that's another good vantage point if some of them get blown in. There's my Tasman Seabird, still with the chute on, still pushing. Go Pagan.
Go, you good thing.
Yeah, go.
I'm changing mine. Yeah. I'm changing mine to Pagan. I'm sorry. I would like to actually, to tell you the truth, that my heart is really with Wistari in her 51st yacht race, and Scott Patrick, the record equaling 51st, may we just say at this point in time, which is just a fantastic event. Fantastic an achievement. Noel Patrick, who is synonymous with mapping a lot of the inlets and wonderful boating areas that you can see around the Gladstone coastline, the Gladstone region coastline. His book, The Curtis Coast, is the Bible when it comes up to navigating those seaways. And of course, now Scott and his family still sailing it and still pushing it, and will no doubt get a lot out of it. And I reckon they're a very, very good chance for the Courier Mail Cup. While we're talking about that, multiple line honours winners over the years, the old Apollo, she had eight line honours. And even a boat that I've sailed on and got line honours with, the old Hammer of Queensland with 4. What a great old boat with Arthur Bloor. That boat, fantastic. And some of the other multiple winners that we've got in there was, we've got Blackjack, of course.
Yep. Different Blackjacks too.
Yeah, different Blackjacks from the 66, which is now alive, through to the Volvo 70, which is Blackjack, through to the 100, which is also called Blackjack.
There we go, on screen. That seems to be...
That's working.
We've seemed to right the wrong from the YB tracker, and there she is. That just gives you a bit of an understanding and idea when you're looking at the boats that we had on there before, which was Black Diamond and also Maritimo and Corumba, how far Blackjack has already put on those boats. 100-footer, and she is flying towards that rounding mark off of Redcliffe, and she's going to be turning there. And will she be able to make that in one beat across?
Yeah.
She'll be able to get across there?
Yeah, one leg across.
One leg across.
Yeah.
The standout there is Black Diamond, though. That thing is absolutely smoking. That's a 42-foot boat in front of like 55, 56 foot boats. Like that thing is just it's in heaven right now.
Yeah, ripping.
Yeah, both Rogel Pews, incidentally.
Both former blackjack, that little one, the 42 was a blackjack, I think. And the old 70, just over in the US, just destroyed a race record over in the 70s. So blackjack went over to the US to Roy Disney and became, I think, a pie whacket. Yeah, and just absolutely destroyed the carbo race record. So they're fast boats, the blackjacks.
Absolutely.
Pete Harburg likes to buy fast boats.
And good on you, Peter. And Peter has been a long time supporter of this race, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and a shout out to the guys at Blackjack and for helping us again this year. Going back to it, when we were talking about Wistari a minute ago, she's actually won 4 Courier Mail Cups, 4 in 71, 76, 77 and 82. So there's been a little bit of a 30-year 40-year. Where are we? There's been a bit of a 40-year hiatus for Wistari. However, quite a few of those races in that time were very light races. This is probably the windiest and the best conditions for Wistari in quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely perfect conditions for Wistari. And as we've said, it's a really well-sailed boat. It loves the downwind, heavy downwind conditions. It's got those conditions. It also has a symmetrical spinnaker setup, so it's going to be really make a lot of gains once they get around the top of Fraser Island and head across the paddock. So it definitely favours it. It won't look as good until we get past it gets past Fraser Island, and then it should be just smoking through the top of Fraser Island. So they probably will have their bailers going full bore on board, though. I reckon there might be a few leaky spots.
And in some news just in, from my eyes out there, Not a Diamond hasn't started the race. She's tied up to a rescue boat. All aboard are good.
That's disappointing.
Don't know the exact details.
That's disappointing. I just think she was underwater the whole time. That's a purpose-built design boat. Is that Karumba there?
Yeah, that's Karumba.
Yeah.
So these guys to me look like they're already around that mark. So these guys are heading over to Morton Island.
You can see Blackjack in the distance there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her live on the AIS tracker yet, but I've certainly got Blackjack on her way.
You can see that the 42 there is actually going to get taken over by Maritimo here. So they're not planing anymore. So if you're not a sailor, planing means when you lift your boat up onto the bow wave. So what speedboats do, if you like your power boating, and when they go close to the wind, it's very, very hard to plane. So your waterline length determines your speed. So the longer boat is going to start going over the top here of Black Diamond, which is the square top main with the reef in, and Maritimo is the 50. It's like 12 foot longer, just going across the top of it. I'm very intrigued to see the double reef in there in Karumba there. She's super conservative, but they'll be nice and dry though.
This is going to be a fascinating race between these 3 boats. It's going to be an incredible race. They've got the race within the race right there.
Yeah. Absolutely. They won't lose sight of one another, even after the sun goes down. They should be close all the way, unless one has an issue or not.
It is disappointing to see Alive's not there.
Yes,
she's
I've sent a message. Well, wait and see what comes back.
Okay. In addition to the main categories that we've been talking about, like we said today, we've been a little bit stretched with the ability to get to some amazing shots with drones just due to the weather conditions. But in addition to the main categories, we've got a number of other divisions. Pardon me. There's the modern division, which is yachts built after 1990. There's the veteran division, yachts built between 1969 and 1989. The vintage division of yachts built between 1968 and before, and the two-handed division, which is a really popular division, becoming a popular division around the world.
Absolutely.
Apiori will be taking part in that two-handed division in this race.
And Dream Lover, a call out to Rick Morgan and Peter Gaddis. They're two elder gentlemen of the sport. Rick is an absolute athlete, still runs ridiculous amounts of kilometres, both very fit men, and he's had the Dream Lover now, will be well over 15 years, loves sailing it two-handed. It's a Murray Burns design, Murray Burns Duval design, 12.5, 12.8 metre boat, It was purpose designed for short-handed sailing all that time ago. But interestingly, in the short-handed world, is the upcoming Olympics. They're trying to bring in a male and female double-handed class in time.
Yeah, the double-handed mixed offshore event, which is massive. I reckon when we're sitting here in 10 years, the fleet of double-handed boats is going to be enormous. There's a lot of interest. I know some secrets I can't reveal. I know some stuff that's. I know some stuff that is
why
about
you
to
paid the big bucks here. I hope you realise.
We want to hear about boats.
Yeah. Well, let's visualise a World Series. So you're going to see some amazing things. The other double-handed boat, of course, is the Apiori, which is a modified FAR 11.6, which will go very well in these conditions. Lucas Burns and Trevor Hill sailing that one. That looks like active again. Stephanie Kerrin just on screen. So we've had a big chat. So that. A FAR 11.6, all the Bruce Farr boats, they like going downwind and they like rough conditions like this.
Yeah, well, the Apriori has got short-handed form. She's a past winner of the solo Trans-Tasman race with Trevor at the helm. And they've sailed the double-handed division for the last 3 years. And I believe they've won it every time.
Yeah. So this is where active again will be actually going quite well. She's also got a lifting keel active again. You can see they've got a full main, proper jib up. So, this boat's quite comfortable handling these conditions. But unfortunately, this little run across the top here, it's about the only time they're going to get their conditions. So.
Yes. At the moment, to give you a bit of an understanding of where they're going, they've rounded the mark at Redcliffe and they're heading for the M8 Beacon, which is off Tangalooma. Around that area there, and so that's a whip across Moreton Bay, and like I said, the wind conditions at the moment will allow them to get there in one, but it will be tight-hauled all the way across. So active again. Stephanie Kerrin, we saw her on from the Wynnum Manly Sailing Club, and we shout out to the Wynnum Manly Sailing Club, who are always great supporters of this race. There you go. It makes a nice, easy, straight line to the rounding mark off Redcliffe. You can have a look at where some of those boats are. There's Joanne Brodie and Restless and Morning Star all getting towards there. I think, didn't you actually have a little bit of a bet on Crankster? Did you say something?
40.
Crankster, yeah. I've got Crankster in there. I wrote them down this year so there could be no conjecture and I could leave it as evidence.
Listen here.
So it's a FAR 40 Crankster. It's got Emily Scott on board, who takes a lot of good photos in and around in the sailing world. Also got a young bloke who's trying to make it in the Olympic world, which is Tom Needham, I think it is, from memory. So Tom's just going into the 49er team.
And I just had a quick cross from on the water. Not a Diamonds issue as a main halyard. They're having a go at fixing it. They've got an hour after the gun went to get through the start line.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the past sailors of this race and a very staunch supporter of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and living not far from Cabbage Tree Creek here, where we are situated, is the Peter Holm. And let's cross now to the old South Pacific too, where Natalie Cooper has been.
I'm joined on the start boat by Peter Holm, whose family name is synonymous with sailing. And Peter, your family has actually sponsored $5,000. Can you explain a little bit about how the yachts are actually eligible to win this?
Well, there are two handicap divisions in the race. One is a measured handicap, where the vessels are measured, sail area and what have you, and that's a calculated handicap. The other one is a performance handicap, like the Melbourne Cup, the Stawell Gift running race. Boats are handicapped on their previous performance, and they are then allocated a handicap by the official handicapper.
Right, okay, and who's your hot tip to take out this prize then?
With the wind that's blowing at the moment, it's fully open. It could be anyone's race today.
Absolutely, and you're heading back up to Gladstone, I hear?
Yes, we go up after we retired from the race on the 70th. We go up each year now to present the trophy, because the performance handicap didn't have a trophy for a long time. It had an award, so we now support that division.
This live stream proudly brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. Also with thanks to Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G, the Courier Mail, Where for You, And to our principal naming partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation.
And thanks to Peter Holm. Unfortunately, we lost the cross there with Natalie and Peter, but Peter and Christine will be heading north to Gladstone, and they'll be awarding their $5,000 prize in the PHRF to the winner. And we thank the Holm family, who have been long-time supporters of the race again this year and into the future. Let's have a look at some of the other boats that we've been able to get rounding the mark at Redcliffe. We're looking at Crankster here. Have we got Crankster here?
Yeah, that's Crankster.
Yep.
There she is. She's got her. She's tight hauled across the with everyone on the side, trying to keep it flat.
A good all-round boat, the Far 40. A one design class. They've very well campaigned, these boats. Everyone knows how to sail them fast. They rate quite well. So it's always a chance. It's got symmetrical spinnakers. So once they go past the top of Fraser Island, it's going to come into its own, and they surf quite well.
They do. I've had the pleasure of doing a couple of these races on a Far 40, and they're a lot of fun to steer downwind until the steering strop breaks. And it's heads down.
You keep breaking things.
No, I don't. Only once.
I think we've got, we just had B52 go out of shot, and then that looks like Scamp is the big boat there in shot there, the big white boat that we can see. And B52, I think that is turning up onto the wind, which is...
that's Charisma. Here is Charisma.
Yep, okay.
The Kerr 11.3.
Yeah, there's a lot of Kerr design boats in the race. The 11.3s are a really good design. They have a lot of success in the world of sailing. So, and then the Scamp, which is the Scamp guys are serious this year.
Oh.
They're going to put their spinnaker up at night, and they've left their shower water tanks empty. They're not having showers.
Look out. That just goes to show you how they'll take that.
They're definitely focused on this race. So.
And here's Reverie, which is David Rose's new ride, a Beneteau 40.7. He's a past owner of a Mum 30, a Charisma, and now this boat. You can definitely see Rosie starting to age gracefully. He's getting on boats that have got far much more comfort on them. One of the best natural pants of the seat sailors out there.
That's Black Dog. That's a J111. This boat, he's a little bit nervous. I spoke to the owner there yesterday. So Roger was a little bit nervous. These boats are quite good. They're quite light-ish for a production boat. But he's a bit worried that he might push it past its range. So I'm not sure he's going to go 100% in this race, but it could favour him. Another one that could benefit once they go past Fraser Island.
There's the Gladstone favourite there, Wistari. I probably do a disservice to John Eyeball and his team on Restless, but there she is, sentimental favourite, Wistari. She's actually done quite well to be getting around that mark there now. And here's a QCYC boat in Sassy with Peter on board, the skippering. This boat's done a lot of races as well.
Philip Lazzarini has raced every single race out of QCYC for forever.
Yeah.
He does not miss a race. There's a good bit of competition in the Lazzarini family. Generally, the brothers have a boat each, but there's only one Lazzarini in the racing a yacht this year to Gladstone.
A stalwart of the QCYC, the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club. I think it's won the Gold Cup here a few times. She looks like she's going quite nicely there, to tell the honest truth. I'd be quite happy. He'd be just having a lot of smiles on board. They haven't got to the turning mark, given the angles they're sailing at the moment. But
it's just another Gladstone race.
It's just another Gladstone race. Yeah, it's good fun.
Yes, absolutely. These boats are... what are we talking here? Is this a 70s or 80s? Or
Sassy?
Yeah. Have to be 70s.
Yeah. I think she was built... Oh, actually, she was launched in 79.
There you go.
From memory.
Phil built her, I think.
Yeah. So it may have taken him a little bit of extra time to build it. But, yeah, I think she was launched in 79, if going off memory, but may have started being built earlier than that.
Terrific. To Phil and his team, we wish them all the best as they head towards the harbour city of Gladstone with Sassy, a great boat here, which is just normally moored out the front of the QCYC. We're starting to see a few... boats coming through here.
Genesis was a Hansi 415,
Look at that thing rolling around.
Well, it'll be very comfortable down below. The Hansi's are very much a comfortable boat, a European design, so they're not necessarily designed for Australia, but they are quite nice boat if you want to go for a bit of a cruise. And why not have a boat that does both, hey?
Yeah, I've done a few miles on a Hansie. Might have done my Ocean Yacht Masters on one once upon a time. And you get there slowly, but you're comfortable.
Yeah, listen, as a committee member of the Moreton Bay Boat Club sailing section, Genesis, with Michael Andrews there as a regular competitor on their Wednesday afternoon and Saturday races. I think the Wednesday afternoons ones would be quite nice.
Got 3 Aussies, 2 Kiwis and 1 Irish sailor on board.
Look out. Sounds like a joke.
2 are female, one's father and daughter. And they did the Hobart a few years ago with 10. Then they did it with 8. And now they're doing this race with 6, he reckons.
So here's Skimmer, a Sayer 35, designed by John Sayer, built some time ago.
Local bloke.
This boat has a very famous photo when it was red crossing the Wide Bay Bar. You can actually see as it goes over the wave, you can see the whole keel and nearly air to the transom.
Yes.
Phenomenal photo.
David Hamilton is a member of the QCYC here. And here we go, our first drone shots for the today.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank goodness. And as you can see, the weather conditions, there are a lot of whitecaps out there on Moreton Bay.
We may lose the drone because drones don't like flying in much over 20 knots. And we went through, on the Volvo Ocean Race, we went through so many drones because we kept putting, our guys kept putting them up in 25, 30 knots and they got blown off into the middle of nowhere. So if you're looking for a drone, there's quite a heap out in the middle of the Southern Ocean.
Here we go back with Skimmer and David Hamilton. David was quite vocal last night in the briefing and helping out at the QCYC, but she's contested the Gladstone race on numerous occasions. Since owning the yacht, David has done extensive modifications down below, and I do that with inverted commas because she's certainly a cruiser racer at the best of times.
And going around the turning mark. For those who are not from this part of the world, John Sayer, the designer of that boat, is a local bloke. He lives on the Sunshine Coast. I think his house is about 4 for mine, I reckon. And he designed some unique boats. He designed some really cool stuff. So I'm a big fan of this boat. I'm a big fan of John Sayer and the whole thing. So let's hope it goes. Probably it is not really a rocket ship, though. This design was not designed to be a rocket ship, just looking at that rig setup as well.
There you go. Fan of John Sayer, and I'm a fan of Leo Sayer. So there you go.
Did you used to have the tight perm?
No, I'm old enough to do that, yes. And I'm allowed to say I am too. You are watching the 73rd Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, with this live stream being brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council, and to everybody sitting watching the race at the newly redesigned East Shores on the jumbo screen there. Hello to you. Hello, and you will be seeing these boats sometime on Saturday morning right through till Sunday afternoon. And no doubt we'll be down at the Yacht Club at some stage, and shout out to my mate Celeste, and we'll have everybody down there having a few beers over that time and enjoying the hospitality of the Gladstone people, which is unrivaled anywhere in the world. Okay, so as we're getting up to this turning mark, we've got some other boats that are heading towards it right now.
Some of your Gladstone favourites.
There are some Gladstone favourites there, if we could cross to them. We are just getting a little bit of break up, but there we go. That looks like, to me, Johnny
Restless.
Eyeballs and Restless just about to go around that mark. We will hold this, even though it will break up a little bit. And then have a look at the old Seabirds there coming around. See... I think that's
Joanne Brodie.
That's Joanne Brodie.
Yeah.
Would that be a wooden mast?
I have no idea. But I just saw them in some preview footage peel a kite off beautifully. They would put some of the top racing teams to shame. It's be nice to see them do that.
Flying Colours 2. Oh, no. That's Flying Colours 2 just coming around, which is the Cavalier 350 SL. We just saw the Sunshine Coast Sailing School boat go around as well in the back of that shot before, which is
Gintastic.
First 44-7 Gintastic. And that Cav, look, you're going to enjoy your sea miles on a boat like that. They're not too bad. So.
Lovely sea boat. Great fun racer.
Yep. Actually, Flying Colours 2, the boat we previously had on, is actually looking to emulate their feats of 2017 when they were first place overall PHRF in the Brisbane to Gladstone. So they've got pedigree, so they can win this race.
But remember what Turt said before, once you've won a race in PHRF,
It's all over. It's all over. You are handicapped.
The way
out
to
of it.
think of it, it's like the Melbourne Cup. It's like the Storwell gift, right? You've got to stooge a couple of races before the big one, right?
Oh, right.
It's
Okay.
all, you think about it, all the major races in Australia are handicap races, and they play the game.
Jordan Spencer, ladies and gentlemen, how to win a race by sandbagging. Excellent. Nice work. This is the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, proudly brought to you by the fantastic team at the Gladstone Regional Council, and shout out to those guys. I just did see a couple of people from Gladstone Ports Corporation on one of the cameras that we didn't get to see. They were sitting at the back drinking their champagne, eating their caviar on one of the start boats. So to the rest of the team there, they're enjoying themselves down here today. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the whole host of them here, but there you go.
Unless it's not raining.
Oh, well, that's it. Absolutely. Have a look at that shot there now of these boats heading across Moreton Bay, and we're right down off Redcliffe there and the turning mark, and as you can see how close they are to the wind. They're probably outgoing tide, which will allow them to scoot out once they get around this M8 beacon, but they'll probably have to point a little bit higher to get around that with the way the tide that's pushing them through.
It's absolutely top of the tide right now. Yeah, that shot there makes it look like a sunny afternoon going for a sail, and people will be looking at it wondering what we're talking
what's
about.
Going on. That.
So, yeah, top of the tide, so it won't be running that hard. Rule of 12ths, the tide won't be running super hard. At this stage, it will pick up. But once they get out down to Caloundra and stuff, they'll be finding plenty of tide to push them along. Well, the front boats, I guess. I'm working off that sort of race timing.
Yep.
I'm intrigued. Blackjack shouldn't be too far from the old M8 turn, I reckon. She should almost be on it, is my gut feel.
Yeah, if we went to the tracker, but there we've got a shot of John Eyeball and his team on board Restless, a boat which, like I said, I've travelled a few Ks on, nautical miles on, with former skipper Ray Hobbs, former owner Ray Hobbs. Good morning and good afternoon to the Hobbs family listening back in Gladstone. She's a great old boat. She was an excellent boat, but like you said, might be a little bit out of it for the PHRF or for the IRC part of the Karoo Cup this year, if she could only plane.
That's Gintastic, which is a Beneteau 44-7. That is a sailing school. A lot of those people are looking to get experience qualifications, so they're not beginners, particularly on that boat. They're probably not super experts, but they are in their development phase. The 44-7, we call it, you'd best describe it as a beach ball. They do rate quite well in certain events, but it's not going to be their year. It's the honest answer.
No, they're a bit difficult. They're not that straight in the back. They're a bit difficult to steer downwind. Just had a look at the tracker. Blackjack is very close to M8. Then they're just a small bear away to M9. Then full noise down past EK1. Here is Pate.
No, this one is Joanne Brody. This was my tip for the overall. Go, guys. Look, they're waving to us. They look like they're having a great time. Yeah. If this is your idea of fun, everybody, then you need to get on board one of these boats and spend some time. I think they'll be pretty happy. It's not going to be a drifter and they sit out there for 3 or 4 days. They'll be home in Gladstone very, very quickly in comparison to past years. There we go. That just shows you the distance that Blackjack has put on the other boats in the fleet. The Rockstars on here are smashing out, what are they doing, 14, 15 knots going across there? 14 and a half knots at the moment is what it's expected.
I can see on there about fifth back is Mayfair.
We haven't mentioned Mayfair
today.
No,
I wanted to bring Mayfair up because she's a Rogers 46, James Irvine's boat. That boat, the best way to think of her is kind of like a small TP52. That thing will actually go really, really well in this race and may actually... It'll smoke downhill, reasonably light. It could be a chance. It could be a chance.
And there's some pretty good yachters on that boat too.
Yep, definitely. So I'd keep my eye on that one. Some experience. He's picked a nice boat when he went and bought that. I think he bought it over from the UK. There's a few of them starting to populate around the sailing clubs of the world. And I had that in one of mine that just keep my eye on because these conditions, it'll like these conditions a lot.
Excellent, yes. So James Irvine on the helm of that boat heading across the bay at the moment. This is the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. Started under interesting circumstances. We've only had a couple of days where we haven't been in lockdown.
So I was just going to say, if you're not a local and you're watching this on the stream, the zigzagging is because the Moreton Bay is quite shallow. And the vessels are having to stay in the shipping channel. So it's important to understand it is a really quite narrow shipping channel, and there's a fair distance of travel that they've got to do to get out of that. And they've got to stay from basically just after the start, they've got to stay in those shipping channels all the way up until they clear the northwest beacon, which is just off Caloundra. Yeah. So basically the length of Bribie Island. So what's that? A bit longer.
12 mile.
12 mile?
12 mile from Bribie, from the bottom of Bribie up to NW2. Yeah.
Okay. What we're talking about the course this year and the way the course will be set out with the wind conditions, the fastest point or the fastest track between 2 points is a straight line. Is that going to be what the boats are going to be doing here? I mean, they're able to go as straight as humanly possible, but is that going to be the fastest track?
Until they get, once they're clear of Caloundra Headland and the northwest fairway mark, until they get to Indian Head, yes. Possibly until they get to Breaksea, yes. Once they get down around Breaksea on the way down to Gatcombe Head and Gladstone, they'll be driving downwind. Straightest course won't be the quickest. You might have a few fun times if you try it on because it looks dead downwind.
In the briefing last night, they mentioned the current inshore about a knot. Outside of that, you're looking at anything up to 2. So is that extra knot going to be a boat's going to seek out that extra knot?
Absolutely, because of the sea state. That 1 knot current you're talking about is a bit of northerly set. So these guys will be watching the sea temperature, making sure they're staying in that, and they'll be able to tell by the wave pattern once they're out of the northerly assistant set, the wave pattern will start to jack up quite remarkably different, and they'll know they're pushing some southerly set.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. In the foreground or the background there, the beautiful Moreton Island, and the boats are heading across there now. Every one of those people on those boats will be having fun right now. It's hard to believe, but it's what they actually set out to do, and they'll be enjoying that. And here's Morning Star, Sparkman and Stevens 34, and Jack Kilner on the helm of this yacht.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to be on this boat.
No, you love your sailing.
I love my sailing, but come on.
Yeah, you love your sailing, and she's on her favourite point of sail right now.
Yeah, and that's what have we got? A kilometre or 2 of that, and then she's...
no, it's a bit further.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean.
I tell you what, they haven't gone... They certainly have got some rag up still. They've still got a lot of sail up there. Yeah. But she's one of the SNS 34s, so it can take it.
Absolutely, it can take it. You can roll those things, and they're just as fast upside down as they do right way up. Oh dear, I don't know. Like she's they're Sparksman and Stevens design, which was one of the most famous design houses in the world when I was a little lad growing up, and they built some of the most beautiful boats. I love a metre rule shape. I've never been a fan of the SNS 34, so I apologise to anyone that owns one and is thinking I'm being cheeky. But
no, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I mean, they've done some amazing things, these boats, but, you know...
Are you trying to say they're a classic?
They're a classic, but if I own one, I don't know. I'm digging a hole. I don't want to go any further.
To Vicky Fraser, who's posed a question to us on Facebook, Alive have a different strategy to the rest of the fleet. Let's hope it pays off for them. I can't help believe that's a dig. Vicky, thank you very much for saying that.
That was good.
I really can't help but that's a dig. Alive does not look like it's sailing the correct course.
A little birdie just told me that they have some hydro issues.
Unfortunately.
So they've got a hydraulic ram on the keel on that thing.
And all the winches are hydraulic
and
powered.
hydraulic winches, yeah. So
no hydros, no go.
It is a shame not that boat not being in there because it actually has just set a race record. Was it the Devonport? Melbourne to Devonport race.
And they're super quick, those things. It would have just done absolutely wonderful things. So and a super talented bunch of sailors on that boat as well. So
they will be disappointed.
Yeah. The other thing is, if it is a hydraulic issue and a hose is gone, then they'll be more than disappointed because everything's covered in hydraulic fluid, and you don't want that down below. So it could be tough.
Terrific stuff. Listen, we're coming to the end of the broadcast for 2021, and we do appreciate that. I'm hoping we might be able to just show the course video one more time, and we might ask the guys who are producing this Red Corner, and we thank the team here. We might ask them to see if they can dig up that course video that we can play again with Brad Barker, just to give us a bit of an understanding of where these boats actually have to go. So when I get the thumbs up, which I have now got. This is, if you missed it earlier on, this is an understanding of where the boats are heading to Gladstone.
Hi, I'm Brad Barker, past Commodore of the Port Curtis Sailing Club and veteran of 27 Brisbane to Gladstone races. It's my pleasure to outline the course for you today. The organising authority and host club of this historic race is the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, located at Shorncliffe on Cabbage Tree Creek. At precisely midday this year, the yachts will receive the starting gun and set course for the first turning mark at Redcliffe. From here, the yachts will head east across Moreton Bay towards Moreton Island for the M8 Beacon, before turning north for M9 off beautiful Tangalooma. The yachts will then work their way through the northwest shipping channel, heading gradually back towards the top of Bribie Island. This year, the start of the race is an hour before high tide, so the next 6 hours of ebb tide will favour all yachts, and hopefully still benefit the smaller yachts before it changes. Finally, with Caloundra Fairway Buoy on the port-hand side, the fleet breaks the shackles of Moreton Bay. Navigators will plot courses that they believe will be the quickest. This could bring yachts inshore skirting Double Island Point or further offshore, chasing favourable winds and current. These decisions could be the difference of winning or losing. With beautiful Fraser Island on the port side, yachts will round Indian Head, which is the halfway point, and then Breaksea Spit before turning northwesterly, rounding the picturesque Lady Elliot Island and heading across what is affectionately termed the Paddock. With the lights of Agnes Water on the horizon, the yachts will pick up the first channel beacon, S2, before snaking through the flashing lights of the shipping channel. This can be particularly tricky at night with the lights of Gladstone in the background. Yachts shouldn't have too much trouble dealing with the smaller tides this year, but they need to keep a watchful eye for the massive coal or liquid gas ships coming the other way. Finally, the end is in sight with the finish, a line of sight between the A7 beacon and the buoy off Spinnaker Park, where the finish line crew will fire a gun to mark the end of the race for each yacht.
And we thank Mr. Barker himself. I know Tom is actually going to be in Gladstone. Tom Barker, the last time I almost bumped into Tom was in Chicago, of all things. He was sailing over there. You know, he's a Gladstone boy, and we bump into each other overseas in America. But that was a long time ago when you could travel. But to the Barker family who have been synonymous with this race in many, many years, we thank them. And of course, Brad, for putting that together. We appreciate it. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I think we've kept Turdo's tips. I think he's tipped about 6 in each division again this year. Did you want to run through them again? Oh, look, he's even typed them out. My goodness. So it'll be interesting. A quick estimate again of when Blackjack will hit Gladstone Harbour. 4 a.m. So we'll get you to mic up again, mate, if you could.
2:30 a.m.
2:30 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Between 2:30 and, according to Jordan, 4 a.m. according to me.
I've got to go right out there, mate. That's
You do. Not much goes on in Gladstone at 2:30. You want to hold it back just a little bit at 4 a.m.
Do you know what? You haven't been in Gladstone a long time if you don't think a lot happens in Gladstone at 2:30 in the morning. Just ask my kids.
Nothing that you want to see.
Just ask my kids. Okay, well, guys, once again, thank you very much. And also with thanks to the sponsors, the Gladstone Regional Council, who, again, have put forward this live stream. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. It's great to get our sport out to the masses so people can watch this fantastic event. It is a Queensland iconic event. It's actually an icon of Queensland, and it's wonderful to bring that to you. Jordan Spencer, I appreciate your time, sir, and thank you for jumping in. A quick shout out to Sailor Girl again, who couldn't make it, to Nick Douglas, thinking of you, hoping you are able to travel soon, and of course the man that came in at the last minute, who will probably go back and sail his fin tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the plan. Should be spectacular.
Excellent.
On Lake Catharaba, Lake Catharaba Sailing Club, Easter All Boats Regatta,
Don't
25 knots in the fin. Yeah.
Beautiful,
I'm
beautiful.
I'm going to prove I'm an athlete tomorrow.
Yeah. We certainly did drag him off the bench in enough time for him not to comb his hair or shave his beard off. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. The Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race live stream brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. We can't thank enough the team from Red Corner who are behind the scenes here, who've put everything together, and to the cameramen who have been out there on this sea trying to get vision to us. Each year it's a challenge. And again, this year, if it wasn't pouring rain last year with squalls, it's 25 to 30 knots out there on the harbour. And again, very, very challenging conditions. And also to Nat Cooper, who was out there doing some interviews with some of the VIPs. That's it. That's it. It's a wrap for another year. So thank you for watching wherever you may be watching around the world. And we look forward to welcoming these boats into Gladstone at the early hours of tomorrow morning and beyond that. So on behalf of the rest of the commentary team, I'm Grant Cooper. Thank you for watching the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race 2021.
See you later.
Bye-bye.